Bonjour, bonjour. Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday from Paris. Sunday. I just said Sunday. Sunday, September 17th. Hi, Angela. I'm glad you're here. Today is also the anniversary of the death of Viollet-le-Duc, who is the man that did the last major restoration of the cathedral here. And of course, hi, Jean. This cathedral needs no introduction. They are going to do a little thing down here. So we'll see. Let me know if you could hear me. It's kind of, they talk. Could be up here for a few minutes because it's a good way to see everything from up here. And so this weekend is the best weekend of the year. It is the Journees de Patrimoine, and it is the weekend. It's actually all over Europe, and it is the weekend that they open up all of the buildings. So it's Patrimoine is heritage and French, and so it's all about the heritage of the country and all of the great gifts that we have here with some of these buildings. And a lot of buildings open today, like Elysee Palace opens today for this weekend, and quite a few other places that you're not normally allowed to go into since the terrorist attacks of 2015. They pretty much shut down any visitation to a lot of buildings. And then some places do something special. So this is the third year in a row they've done this because the fire happened in April of 2019, and then this whole area was covered up with tents and everything, so you couldn't even walk out here. And then the next year was COVID. So the first year they did it was 2021, and so I've been here each time to see this, and it's always different, and it's really cool because it evolves depending on where we are in the restoration of the cathedral. And so now, guess what? Next year's gonna be the last one. Oh my gosh, I can't wait because by next year, 15 months, it's going to reopen. So you're not going to have this out here for 2025. So they'll probably do something special for it still, even though this is very unique. And so it's really cool. So they set up this little village here, and it has all the different people that are working on it. So there on the right, where it's kind of everything's kind of color coded. Where it's blue, it's you could go in there, and I'll take you down there. It's really crowded, and was getting shoved around a lot trying to walk through just when I got here. And yesterday, I came here yesterday morning. But I'll take you down there and kind of show you what some of them are having. This is a good little overview. So the tent there on the right with the blue is all about the restoration of the cathedral. So they have some plans in there. And last year, that's when I met my boyfriend, the head architect, Philippe Villeneuve. Not really my boyfriend, but I wish because I love him. But I have not spotted him today here, so it's probably too late in the day. Where it's the yellow over there, that is the carpenters and the framework. And I was over there a little bit ago, and I was talking to one of them, and they have this axe that because they have to do everything in the original way that it was built, or when it was restored many years ago, and also when the roof was built. So they are doing all this by hand, and so I'll try to get down here a little so we can look down to in the center where you see those beams kind of going across. Those guys are actually doing a demonstration, but they have this axe down there, and it's got the imprint of Notre Dame on it, and it's super, super cool. So I'll share that photo later. The green over there, where the green one tents are, kind of closer to the wall. There's a cathedral. Those are about the vaults and the different kind of decorative elements. In front of that, they have everybody that's actually people doing demonstrations on the stone cutting and some of the more decorative pieces. Then you could see kind of in the back where you see the big white tent just behind the fence. You could see where they have they're working on and showing demonstrations of the lead. So there's pieces of the roof they're showing you, and then also decorations that are going to go on the roof. And some of the pieces are molded out of wood and then covered with lead, and then some of it is just lead. When it comes to the spire, 2/3 of it is going to be wood that's then covered, and then another third of it is just going to be molded directly from lead. They tried to outlaw lead years ago, right? But right about the time that the fire happened, and because they had decreed that the cathedral had to be rebuilt in the same way that it was before, they're allowing them to use lead now for this. But at first, the stained glass people and everybody was a little worried about that because they need the lead, and you need that to rebuild the roof the way it was. So, and then you can see over to the left where it's kind of the pinkish maroonish color. That is where they have the paintings in the stained glass window. So that is kind of my favorite. And then over to the right over there where you see more of the pointed uh, tents over there, or the showplace tents from back in my event biz days. Those there is the diocese over there, and they are the ones that actually chose what the furniture is going to be like. And I'll take you in there and show you what it is. I'm not on board with it. I don't like it. It's way too modern looking. But I'll show you what that is. And then to the right is the scientific. So you have down there, and also by a diocese, they also have some other people that are doing some of the work on the paintings as well. And so that was, of course, my favorite. I'm just so excited to get to see all of everything come back. And in just a month from tomorrow is going to be when the new exhibit opens at the Louvre. That's going to be pieces from the treasury featuring the stuff by Viollet le Duc. So I can't wait to see that. So it's going to be stuff that you had in the treasury, the sacristy here. If you ever went in there when Notre Dame was open, you had to pay a small ticket to go see it, but it was really amazing. And I remember watching one time or seeing something that Rick Steve said not to bother going in. The guy, I have my feelings, but don't do that. There's so many people that I know that said that they never came to Notre Dame because the line was too long, and the line was for security. They just check your bags, and if it's you tell the men to take their hats off. But if you want to go see it, just go see it. Who cares what somebody tells you? If they tell you they thought it was dumb, you also have to think about where these people are coming from and their choice of that, how they do museums or how they like to do things, or if they have the attention span of a gnat, which unfortunately is more and more these days. But, all these people didn't go in there, and maybe that was their one and only chance to have seen everything, and that was their only trip to Paris. So don't put anything off. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we will head on down there in a minute. But you can see from up here this huge crane that's over here on the right. That's the top of it is down on the ground. This is the piece that they have put in here since this spring that brings up the pieces for the spire and now the different ribs for the roof. And I am going to hopefully take you out along the river, and we'll see if any of the pieces are over there. But there's been a lot going on this year. And so inside of it, since the spring, they have now said that they're completely finished with the cleaning portion of the restoration. There's parts of it that are completely done, like the south transept, the choir wall, which is the decorative carved wood piece that goes around it. That's completely restored and cleaned. They're still working on the chapels, but some of the scaffolding that was up really high, and there's some photos that they maybe I can if I can get you back to this wall over here where it just shows the entire inside of the cathedral covered in scaffolding. A lot of that's coming down. So they've already got to the point where they could take that down and put it away. So, I mean, we're looking at December 8th of 2024. That's not very far away. So that's just a little over 14 months away. So it's going to be here before we know it. But the spire is coming together, and we'll go over here on the side, on the left bank side to look back up. You can see from when you go on this side here, the northern side, it's really difficult to see too much because you're just below it and you see the fence. But I'll take you out to the side and give you a little peek of how that is looking. But let's head down and let me show you some of the fun stuff around here as best as we can, considering how crowded it is. So I'll attempt to get down the steps.
aux activités de restauration et la partie l'aide aux architectes, aux maîtres d'ouvrage et aux maîtres d'œuvre. Cette collaboration ne va pas s'arrêter, évidemment, au moment où la cathédrale rouvrira ses portes le 8 décembre 2024. J'ai envie d'avancer le calendrier, vous l'avez remarqué. Pas trop, s'il vous plaît. Il est déjà. C'est mon impatience. Qui est pour nous. Le 8 décembre 2024, vous allez continuer à accompagner.
I've spent today and yesterday visiting all these great places. Today I went to the Institute de France again. But this one I've been to most of all the big things, but now I'm going again because they show different things. But I'm going to the College de France. I went to the the School of Henri Cat. I kind of these you really have to pack your patience because the people everybody mostly comes to these, they're all French, and it gets really pushy shovey, and so you have to really pack your patience. So these here, I'll just start getting very pushy too. How about that? So here you can see on this table, look at all these great photos. And these are the chapels that they're repainting everything. So they're repainting all of these. These are all originally designed by Viollet-le-Duc. And here's after the fire. Oh, and look at these guys. So these are the pieces that are going to go. A lot of these pieces are going on the spire, and they need 200 of those. Those beautiful lead, and that is for the spire, the base of the spire. Look at that. Guys, he's going to be here for the day it's done. Look, it has the back of the head of my boyfriend. And this is completely filled in now. So where that gaping hole was after under the transept has completely been repaired. Bonjour. Has been completely repaired. And guess when the last stone went in? It went in on my birthday. When I saw that today, it was kismet. So look at these cute little, can I have one of those cute little models, please? Here you can see the footing. That's the footing of the spire. There you see in the middle in red, or the kind of rusty color. So that's what they had to put in first. And so they had to put that in first, and then they start to build and drop in the rafter pieces around it on either side of it. And they have a few of them up there now. And if I could get in past this to show you this other model, past this gentleman, you can see where they're almost these. We'll just get it. We'll just do this. You can see right there where they have the pieces. They're dropping in there. If we get through this, if we actually get through doing this for about 45 minutes without me losing my mind, it's going to be the it's been a long weekend. It's been a long weekend of people not understanding any sort of personal space of any kind, or that they're the only ones here in the world. So I'll show you here in this little booklet first, since we could wait for a break to get in there. It's warm today. So here is kind of a look of what it's all going to look like. So you have these chairs. You have these chairs that are going to be And look at this. It's all very modern, and I am not a modern fan of really anything. And I wish it was just going to be more like what it was. So here are the chairs. Originally, they were going to have just big, huge, long benches on wheels. What's really cool is they have the map of the chapel, of each of the chapels, and all of the paintings in it, and everything's going back to the way it was, which is good because I have notebooks and notebooks of that information. But see, you've got this very. So, do you guys? Some of you guys like this? It's not too bad, but the diocese is the one who picks what it all looks like. Let's see it doesn't actually look that much different. Yes, Gene, except it could be worse. That is very true. Good perspective. And then over here, we have some of the people that are actually working on the paintings and the other pieces. Yeah, it is a little bit Danish modern looking. But here are some of this is the when they took the paintings out. So 4 days after the fire, they took all the paintings out of there, and this is where they're holding everything. And so there is a company that does a lot of this work, and I always see their trucks around museums when they're switching out exhibits, and those guys really know what they're doing. So they had this huge, immense space that they took all the paintings and restoring everything. That is the amazing carpet that I saw in the past few years at the Gobelin. They took that out on the 25th of April. And then, of course, the original Madonna and Child that is now safely in Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois, but the copy of it is just right behind us. But let's see what we can see over here for the paintings. I really was hoping they'd have one of the paintings here where they'd show you, but they don't. They just have just some photos and examples. But this is one of the Linnaeus, Charles Le Bon, the martyrdom of Saint Etienne. And when you came to the church, I remember that was the first one in the door on the right.
Ah, je suis pas du tout, mais il faut demander à la première tente à l'entrée, qui sont les
I can't wait to
organisateurs.
see all of the paintings back. But here, you can see where they're restoring the frames, how they're transporting them, retouching them. If you've ever seen, like if you go in Saint-Sulpice now, they are slowly restoring each one of the chapels. And if you go in there, you sometimes see in some of the churches kind of rectangular shaped, what looks like see-through paper laying on top of the art. And they do that, and it's actually rice paper because it can easily attach to it and it doesn't do any more damage. But they put that on there to kind of hold it together. So when the paintings start cracking and flaking off, they could put that on there, and it kind of keeps it all keeps it from getting even more damaged. So they could get in there, and when they're restoring these things, they're restoring things with like a Q-tip and a tiny, what almost looks like an eyebrow brush. So this is the whole company that is doing all of the assembly, and the last tree was harvested in the spring. And all of it is done. So all of the pieces for the roof are completely finished. They're being done down in Normandy, and then they're all coming back up here. Let me show you this while we're over here. Look at that. We have So here's the spire. The plan for the spire. But they have to do every single thing in the original way it was done. So, maybe it would be open on the 5 year mark if they were have been able to use machines, but they have to do everything by hand, just like they did when it was first installed, which I think is pretty amazing. And the great thing is that that is still a real amazing craft that people in France hold, because you think about how many cathedrals and monuments and chateaus there are in France and in Europe, um, that this is a really, really good job. Hard job for people, but a great job, and a pretty amazing one at that too, because all of these guys are all part of something that's going to just keep going on, and they could, their grandkids could visit these things. I just envision, this girl coming here in 50 years with her grandkids and telling them, like, oh, I did that part. See that part up there? I did that. And they're getting the closest stone that they could find, from near the same place that they originally found it. There is part of it over on the back side is also, um, for the scientific. So they're doing, the people that did all the scientific work. So the pieces that fell down from the transept when the spire went through, they took all of those stones and they looked at them under, X-rays and everything else, and they could go in there and figure out exactly where in France it came from. And so they are going and they're able to get the closest thing that they could possibly find for it, as well as reusing any of the pieces that did come down that are still in good enough shape structurally to be able to be used. You can see that picture right there where it has all of that scaffolding. The entire thing was, many, many heights of scaffolding. So this is more of the sculptures. And you can see I just loved all the photos that you get to see of everything and all their tools. Look at all these tools. But look at that. I mean, look at these young kids here working on this stuff. It's pretty amazing. And here's a piece where they actually make it into a mold. So they create it, make a mold. Oh yeah, I'm sure there is. There already are a few books here that you can find in French, that of different ones. There was just a new one that came out that I just saw at the Institut de France, and I already had too many things I was carrying. But it's in a shop on my way home every day, and it has more in there about all just specifically about the carpenters and the trees and everything that they're getting. So I'll have to have that. But check these out. So these are some of the pieces. These are some of the pieces that are going to go up on the roof, as well as there's some of these go onto the spire. And so the spire I showed you where it's going to have the 200 kind of flowers where you saw in the picture, and also kind of right in that far part, right where the last gentleman in the blue is. But there's also going to be 32 gargoyles on the spire. And so these, you can see back here, you can see back there where that one is carved. It's not covered yet, but this is actually a gargoyle because the water will come out of it. That's the difference between if only a gargoyle when the water comes out of it, because the name gargoyle, comes from the noise that it makes as the water comes out. So look at where it has like the little window. Hold on. Look at that. Can't wait to see the new rooster. Here we go. This is a better. Get a break from the crowd. It's pretty amazing. And then just to think how these are just for today, but when we look up in a year, because the roof is going to, the spire is going to be completely done and up there, that we'll see it by the end of this year. And when the scaffolding will come down and reveal it, because the scaffolding is, if the scaffolding goes up, that means the spire is going up. When I was walking around earlier, this girl goes, "That reminds me of Disneyland." Kind of. Look at the eagle up there. And here's, oh my God, you guys, this is, oh my God, that is so heavy, you can't even lift it up. Oh my, that, you can't even lift it up with one hand. Look at that guy. Oh, it's like foam. And again, we have some more about the paintings. Paintings and the stained glass. Oh, thank you, Jean. I think it all depends on the signal. I think the sun is just perfect. A little kid just hit me. So so all of the stained glass now has been put back. So this is funny. This stained glass right here, that is one that's actually at Saint Etienne du Mont in the back room of Saint Etienne du Mont, that not many people know is there, but all of these ones back here. Well, we're out in full light. A lot of times we're on streets. But here's you can see again here and all these, and lots of young ladies working here. This is where you could buy the books. If you come here, I would definitely recommend collecting these. Um, the first, do they have the first one? They told me this morning they did not have it. No, I didn't bring the first one with me. It's in a box in my friend's house. I didn't move it over with me, and I can't find one anywhere. So you can't even find it online. But they make these great books that come out twice a year, and it's filled with fantastic information, stories. The last one, the newest one is issue 5. Issue 4 was filled with a lot of stuff about the timber and everybody that's bringing that. And as you know, just actually a month ago tomorrow, the general that was in charge of the project um, died in an accident. He actually was down in the south of France, and he was on a hike by himself, and he fell and he died. So it's just very sad. But there is a new gentleman in charge that took over, and he works really closely with him. So this little place right there where it says Espace Notre Dame. So that is where you could go down and do the virtual reality, which costs something. But you can also go down there because they have a free exhibit down there, and it's all about the restoration. So you have different parts of the restoration. You have um, different things about each of the people. So there's something about the stained glass and the stone and the uh, lumber and everything, and then even about the great people that are working on it, like Philippe. This is have not seen this open to the public yet, but this here they're showing you in the window that once we get done with the project of the cathedral itself, then they're going to tackle the rest of it. And you could kind of see this one, if you could see this very well. They're going to add some 200 more trees here. And then down when you're on the other side, you're looking over. I'll try to see if we could get to it. But they're going to do a whole like visitor center underneath here. So you would come in here and go underneath. And the president wants them to put a museum about Notre Dame in, and I am way on board with that one. I should volunteer to help do that. I'm sure they have some mucky muck folks ready for that he's hand picking, but I'd be available for a low cost. So we're going to go around and hopefully see if this other side is open, and so I can show you. The little one. I think this just started walking. Oh, here. You don't want to see people. You want to see Our Lady. Oops, wrong side. Oh, come on. There she is. She's looking pretty good. It'll be nice when some of the scaffolding starts to come down around it, especially the other side. It's almost completely socked in with scaffolding. We also have our main man, Charlemagne, up here. Maybe he'll get a little cleaning before next December. But look at some of those same little designs on there that you see. So this is I think I've walked you guys through here before, but this little part just opened back in the spring, and they change out the wall every 6 months or so. And this one right now, get away from that noisy sound, but this is kind of cool because it's telling you the process of how they're doing this with. So right now they're dropping in those trusses in there on either side. So you see the spire in the middle. And so the spire base is in there. And really that whole top, that's the cone, that's going to just be probably dropped down in like two or three pieces and just locked in. It's already all done. But you can see when I was talking about those flowers pieces, those are all of these all over here. You've got the gargoyles here. And so there's that piece alone weighs an insane amount. There is over 100 logs or 1,000 trees that they need for that. Then there's another 1,000 trees for the rest of the roof. The pieces that are going into the roof, they're about 50 feet wide, and each one of them weighs about 15,000 pounds. So let's see if we have some down here on the ship they bring in here up the river. I always get so excited when I see them because we see them down here. Next thing we know, they're going to be up and on top, installed on the roof. Let's see. Oh, I don't think it's here. It must have left to go pick some more up. Yeah, it's gone. So it is probably hopefully coming back this week. because you could see. So look up there at the top. See the wood? Those are the pieces that they've been dropping in to place. So there used to be that hole to the left of that. There used to be the big white tent, and they had that created, and the whole middle part of it was on wheels, and so they could actually push it back so they could open it up while they were working on the transept. But now that is all completely covered and filled back in. Now they don't need it, and so now they're starting to put those pieces in, and we can't really see anything up there behind the scaffolding of the spire, but it's in there. It's starting to go in there. So they bring the pieces up. They have those two massive cranes there that bring them up. They lay them down on that platform. I mean, again, they're the 15,000 pounds. Lay them down on that platform, and then they get in there with the huge crane here, and then hoist them up there and put them into place. I'm gonna go just stay at my friend John's and just sit on his balcony and watch all day until I see one flying through the sky. I can't wait. But most of that scaffolding is actually there just so they could get up. And the outside of it, other than the flying buttresses, the rest of it, the walls and everything out here, everything's okay. They will, they clean the front of this. They cleaned it, I think, before 2016. You can see, can we get in there and see how close I could get to one of those little gargoyles up there. I have a picture my grandpa took of my grandma just behind that top tower there. One of my favorite pictures of her when they went up to the very top. And that's when he bought one of the little gargoyles in the gift shop to match one of the ones my great aunts bought in 1902 when they came to visit. So I also have those saved. But here's all these little, they added all these little boats down the way where it says Bateau Daphne. And so those are actually just in place, sitting there. And you could go on there and have apero and drinks. And it looks like there's something going on farther. There's a bunch of brocantes this weekend all over Paris, too. So it's a really big week. This week is going to be a nightmare. If you happen to be coming this week, pack your patience for traffic because King Charles is coming. He's coming in, I think, on Wednesday. So between that and then Thursday is another French rugby match. It's getting around the city is going to be a bit of a nightmare because Chuck is coming. But I'm sad we don't see the boat here, but I'm excited. That means it's going to go get some more and bring them in. I don't know how long it takes them to put all these, drop them all in place. But it's a lot. It's quite a few. This is just the sub part of it, and then there's another pieces that go on top of that, and then that is what the actual lead roof will lay on top of. But again, all those are going to come in huge pieces. Even the lead roof is going to come in huge pieces of it, and then they'll just put it in place. Kind of, you see, that is part of the sacristy straight ahead, where that roof is down below that you can see. Ooh, look at that. I'm going to be doing one of those in a week. Leslie, it's not really, I don't know really, it's all, you could find it on, if you're on Facebook, go and look for the restoration of Notre Dame. That page, there is an official group. Let me see if it's actually in this little pamphlet. And it's something they do. It's done for the pretty much for the people that donate it. Look at this. I just wonder how those giant masks, look at that. Look at that is the life right there. How amazing. So this one, look for this name right here. Look for it on Instagram or on Facebook for this name. And they do it, and it's more like a magazine. It's a square shaped magazine. Here comes the police. and it comes out. So it goes usually until June. So there's one that came out. I think I got it in uh, beginning of August, and then another one will come out, I think, in like February or so, February, March. But it's really great because it also talks about what they've been doing and what's happened each month and how, they've already, it says in there that, back in the fall, they had even had that they had finalized who was going to be putting in a system into the roof. A lot of the wood that is coming in is also being treated. They're spraying something on it for fire retardant as well. A lot of people, when this happened, said that they should do what they've done at other cathedrals, where they do the ceiling all in, metal beams instead of wood. But it has to be done the way that it originally was, which I think is the best. So, but she's looking pretty good. And hopefully we'll do this again. We could do it like quarterly where we come down and check on it and I could update you on what's happening, because I think in the next 3 months, I think a lot is going to change. A lot is going to change. They're going to be able to take down some of the scaffolding once they get the rest of it. I mean, they're going to have to take some of that down to do the rest of the roof. So I think a lot of it's going to come down. Different people are going to be done. I mean, they were saying that all of the painting in the chapels have been completely restored. The organ has been completely restored. They are starting to bring the pieces back in, building the base of it again, and bringing in the organ, dropping in on, because it's something like 2,000 pipes. And so that is the very last thing they're going to do, though, because they will need complete silence. So for about 2 weeks before it opens every night, they'll be here tuning the organ. And so that'll be the very last thing. So maybe we'll have to come down here and see if we could hear it. But they just also, the thing that they just did back in June was they took all the bells out of the North Tower. So we're looking at the South Tower. This is where Emmanuel and Marie are, the two largest ones. And then the North Tower on the other side is where the 8 other bells are, and the 8 other bells have all been taken out so they could do some work, because the fire did get into the North Tower, and that, as you remember, was what they said. We have 20 minutes to save this. If we don't, the whole thing will come down, because the fire started to get to that, and the belfry, as you know, is all wood. And so they said if the fire gets there and burns that, and those 8 humongous bells that weigh tons and tons came down, it would have just taken out the entire facade and the whole church would have fallen. But we know that those amazing pompiers, which their anniversary is tomorrow, the creation of the pompiers was on September 18th. And tomorrow, also, it's a very good day. It's also the day of Rose Bellon. So make sure to check my Instagram, because I'll have a little thing about her on that. But they just they took the bells out in June, and they've taken them out, and they're going to get them cleaned up and restored while they do some work on that, and then they'll bring them back. Emmanuel and Marie do not have to come out because that side, it was fine. None of the flames reached out into there. But here's you could actually see. It's a great little view there of the pieces. So you can see it right there. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's really cool to be able to come here and see it change. Um, and I really am going to try to come down here once a week, but some weeks it's difficult. But it is a lovely evening. So I think our last day for a while in the 80s. So it's 81 degrees today with a lovely breeze, which is fine with me. But so right there, that whole area there where the people are sitting against that wall, that is what they're going to change that. And so you're going to be able to go inside there. There's going to be a whole visitor center. And I think that's where we're going to put the museum. And then all of that along the side will have windows. So it'll be able to look down. And then you saw on that little map, I mean, they're just going to add a ton more trees. You already have a ton of trees in the back, which is this square. Pope Jean II, but they're going to add even more trees. But that probably won't be done until like 2028, 2029. So it's going to take a long time to get that done. So, but I think I will leave it there. I've got a few other things I have to get to for this evening. But thank you guys so much for joining. And here I could turn around and say hi. Hi. Oh, my hand looks weird. But thank you guys so much for joining. And I won't be doing it next week because I have some clients here and I'm going to be with them the whole entire time. And so the next week I will not, but I will update you. I might be for 2 weeks and I won't be able to do it, but keep an eye because I'll share lots of stuff. And I still need to share all the things that I did this weekend. I did make a little reel on my Instagram of going into Hotel de Ville yesterday, which was amazing. But check that out, and then I will share some more about the Institute de France and everywhere else I went in the next coming days. I always love going in the Institute de France just so I could see the tomb of Cardinal Mazarin. Well, thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you guys so much. If you, I appreciate all of you for following. If you want to leave a tip at all, if you're watching this on the replay, you could do it at Venmo or PayPal at claudine@claudinehemingway.com. And I thank you guys all so much. And Angela, I will see you soon. And Sharon, if she's here, we'll see her next month as well. So thank you guys so, so much. And I will see you soon.